hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this Thursday edition of the Paranormal Portal, Bedtime Stories From Beyond. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and we are live and underway. And I hope you had a great Thursday. Thank you all to those of you who were here last night. We had a lot of fun and a great conversation. It's kind of out of format to do a guest on Wednesdays, but it really worked out well, and sometimes it's all about the scheduling. I'm not opposed completely to doing those kind of shows, but I just like to save guest spots till the network shots. But anyway, I hope you're all ready to go because it's time for bed. So we are here, ladies and gentlemen, and right away off the bat, I gotta get something off my chest, and it's more me just venting than anything, but I don't know what it is with some people, but I swear to God, some people just have, and I'm not the type to do this, but honest to God, it was just right now, it wasn't 20 minutes ago, and I'm going through a post, and there's two of them actually that really got under my skin. And I'm not going to go into one of them just because I think it's just somebody trying to be cute and funny and snarky, and it was just ridiculous. But the one that really, really irritated me is that on Facebook, I shared a post. Somebody's missing their daughter, and she's ran off or been taken away. I don't know what the story is, but there is a part of the blurb about her being missing that she's bipolar and has issues like that. So, I mean, it's already a challenging situation, but she's been missing, and so I shared it. And some clown, and I don't know if I should even say this at all, but it was just like, I know people get really into their truth. They really get into their truth, and they really think that everybody should know what they think, and at all times. And sometimes you just got to use a little restraint because it's not the time to do that. But somebody put a remark on there about, oh, it's all the antidepressants and it's just screwed up their kid and that's a real parenting fail. And it's like, my God, their child is gone. Really? This is the time when you want to talk about whether or not prescription pharmaceuticals are appropriate for mental illness? I mean, I agree that a lot of that stuff is horrible, but really at that point, somebody just wants their child to come home. And you put degrading comments on there like that's the perfect time to do it. And I just deleted it. I deleted the comment. I was just like, nope, this is not going to happen. But, I don't know what's wrong with people. Why? Where is the compassion? Where is the empathy? I mean, we all have to have some empathy. Some of us have a lot more than others, and some of us have a lot more than we need. But, you just got to put yourself in the shoes of those people and how desperate and horrible that must be to not know where your child is. And, save the judgments for later, or for a different forum or something like that. But my God, it just killed me to read that. So, again, it has nothing to do with the show, but it does have, it's my show, so I get to say whatever the hell I want, I guess. So I hope you guys are doing great. Happy Thursday. You made it past through the halfway point of the week, and you're on the downhill slide. And remember, tomorrow night, Dan Pruitt will be joining me here on the portal, and we'll get into some paranormal investigating and see what he's got to show us tomorrow night. But and then, of course, Saturday will be Linda Godfrey joining us here on the portal. So great couple of shows coming up. But this is the bedtime story, so let's get into some of these stories, some of these encounters, and see what y'all think of these. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing great. I'm going to do this, what Lewis showed me how to do. I'm going to participants, and Deb's in here. Hey, Deb. Diana. What is that? DJ Ron? DJ J Ron. Good to see you all. Gemini Moon, Haxor. Jess, Lena, Lewis, Matthew Learned, I'm in there, Pirouette, Pepe Vasau, and I'm sorry, I'm butchering that name, I'm sure, but I recognize it, and thanks for being here. Ruthie's here, Sarah's here, and Ken is here, so it's a full house here on the show. I'm sure more will wander in as time goes on, but just know, ladies and gentlemen, every night at 7 p.m., Pacific time, there's a portal going on every night of the week, so don't let it be a surprise. So the first one I'm going to read you comes out of Colorado, and yeah, I know, right? I know, exactly. It's just like the wrong time to make comments like that, and it's the wrong place to make comments like that. I'm not saying that I disagree that some of those medicines are just toxic and horrible, but that's not the place. So, nickname is Pepe. Okay. All right, Pepe, that'll be easier. I'll try to remember that. Okay, so Colorado's the story of origin for the first one off the bat tonight. It says, I live in a house on Galena Drive, but I only go there for the weekends. I also live in an apartment with my mom, and it's small, so I have no worries, but when I'm in a big space, it's creepy, and it gives me the strange feelings. My stepdad's home was built about 37 years ago when he was born, so that makes it old, and maybe haunted. To get to the point, these strange happenings just started recently, and now I can't go into a dark area alone. When I was going to my room, I thought someone was in the bathroom because I heard the toilet flush. And the door is broken, so we can't close it. So I said I was coming up, but when I got up there, no one was there, which really creeped me out. Then, when I was watching television in the family room next to the computer room, I saw the door open slightly, so I thought it was the cats because I have 4 of them, but nope, the cats were all upstairs. Then the TV turned on by itself right after I turned it off. Then the cats were acting weird and kept staring up the stairs, as if someone was there. And today, the light in the master bedroom kept flickering, though this is longer ago, and the light in my room went out by itself another time. So all of this happened in one house. Tell me, do you think the place is haunted, or is it just my imagination? Well, I think the first thing you want to do is get the wiring checked, just to make sure you don't have some really bad things going on, underneath the surface. Because certainly you can't discount things like that, wiring could be an issue, and it could have been done faultily, and it may cause all kinds of weird things to happen. But that is a consideration. And whenever you're looking into the idea, am I dealing with a ghost, you just gotta rule out the normal. You've got to rule out anything that might have similar effects on what you're going through. So once you rule those things out, then yeah, maybe you got something. And I'm not saying that it isn't already a spiritual thing, but I just think you have to come at it with an objective mind, because otherwise there's ghosts everywhere. There's ghosts behind everything. And it just, they can't all be hauntings. They just can't. And then again, they can't on the other side, they can't all be electrical problems either. So it goes both ways. So this one comes out of Colorado as well. And it says, I haven't let's see, blah, blah, blah. Today something happened. Actually, before this, at school, there was another encounter I had. First off, at school, I had gotten little sleep the night before. I was being kept up all night by strange sounds, but they didn't sound like anything supernatural. It just sounded like pipes. But the next day in school, I realized the entire day felt like a dream, almost, because I was so tired. So I sat there nodding off and, yes, got yelled at once, but I noticed that the entire day I was so tired, nothing seemed real. Finally, toward the end of the day, I did fall asleep, but I was in the corner and nobody noticed, and I looked up and noticed this guy walking around the corner of the room, and it looked like Jerry. He had the exact outfit I've always seen Jerry in. Not sure who Jerry is, but okay. I didn't see him again after that, though. But today I was woken up by the phone. I was too tired to answer it, and I couldn't see the caller ID clearly, and the phone sits facing me on the stand right next to the bed. But I could tell it was nobody I knew. But then the answering machine picked up, and it always had the same weird voice that picks up and says, "We're not here." But this time I heard another voice as it was talking. I couldn't tell anything that was being said, but it was a male, and even after the beep, I still heard him talking. The only thing I could manage to hear at the end was, "Why won't you see me? Of course you're there. Don't ignore me." So I laughed, thinking it was a wrong number. Now, the phone always keeps the number displayed for a short amount of time, so I kind of wondered who it was, and I checked the ID. The number was 666. No joke. The caller ID displayed 666. But it even didn't keep a record of this, so I have no proof. This same thing has happened before when I assumed Jerry's called me, but the answering machine never even records his voice in the answering machine. And when I went upstairs, there was no new messages. Yet, I clearly heard a voice after it beeped. I had been awoken by it, and I just know what I heard, and I saw 666. The first time it displayed the number 9, and when I got a mystery call, and now just 666. So Jerry must be a spirit thing, because it says, "Is this Jerry or something else doing this?" Was that Jerry's voice I heard on the phone, or was I dreaming? I don't even know what to think anymore, and Jerry hasn't bothered me in a while, so this is new. Yeah, I would I would assume this person has probably already written a story about somebody named Jerry, but I didn't see that. So, and there's no other stories attributed to him in this bulletin board. So I guess we'll never know this whole Jerry thing. That is creepy though. 666. It comes up on. I think it's probably an intimidation tactic by a lot of spirits just to try to be mischievous. First of all, if there is indeed a great force of evil that is, Satan or whatever you want to call it, if there is this thing out there, and I don't know if there is or isn't, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible, but I tend to, focus more on the light than I do the dark. But if it's out there, and if it is this powerful force of evil, is it going to be wasting time trying to, spook somebody out on their phone machine? So I think that spirits may actually be doing these things, and they use that as a form of intimidation. Like, people might have a
certification.
It's a certification. Okay. It's something's got about a certification according to the ghost box tonight. Okay. What's certified? But I think that as a form of intimidation and to maybe hopefully make people feel powerless, they generate things like these ominous numbers and names. Like how many times have you seen the ghost shows where it's like, "Who is this?" and the word Satan comes up? It's like, really? You got nothing better to do than hang out in a basement? So I don't know. I'm not a big believer in those things really being an entity that is the force of evil. But I do believe in evil, and I don't mean to say that I don't, but I don't know that there's an all-encompassing power of darkness out there that is a rivalry to all that is good. I just think there's dark things out there. Some of them are very, very powerful, but I'm not so sure I subscribe to the whole, horns and pitchforks and fiery furnaces and stuff. But that's just me. I don't pretend to know it all. I'm just sharing with you my ideas, my thoughts, as it were. But that's a creepy one, though. It is creepy to see those things come up. But I think, again, why would an all-encompassing force of darkness be bothering with somebody's answering machine or hanging out in a basement or in a closet or slamming doors in an abandoned building? It just doesn't make sense to me. So, all right. The next one is from Ohio. There's a lot of stories out of Ohio. Dee's really got some things going on over there. All right. This story was told to me by my best friend's wife upon his passing several years ago. And first, let me give you some background about my buddy. He was in a wheelchair and had been ever since an accident with a train when he was a teenager. And he lost both of his legs up to his hips and was told almost every year that he had about 6 months to live. He fooled them all, and he went on to live another 30 plus years, and he lived life to the fullest each and every day, never letting anything get him down. Unfortunately, he developed complications later on in his life, and his health slowly began turning for the worse. And he was always in the hospital and hated every minute of it. I'd go visit him, and it seemed to brighten his day if any of his closest friends stopped by. It was really a pick-me-up for him. As he got worse, he told his wife he didn't want to die in a hospital. He really wanted to die at home. She agreed, and even though she wasn't really ready for what was about to happen, she agreed anyway. I visited him several times, but I just could bear to see him. I think it means couldn't bear to see him in that state, and felt guilty about not doing more with him while he was healthy. Shortly after bringing him home, his wife noticed he would be talking to someone. And when asked, he would say he was talking to his mother or his aunt or his uncle who had already passed before him, that they were there to help him move. His wife thought this was because of the illness or the medicines he was taking, but he insisted that it was really his family and friends he was seeing and talking to, and I think he thought she could see them too. She decided to start taking photos when he was talking to these relatives and friends, and the images that appeared were breathtaking. I only wish I had them to share on this board, but the orbs, the mists, the streaks she captured over him and around him were not able to be explained. It wasn't dust or any of the normal causes for the orbs, as he was in a sanitized room due to the infections he was prone to at the time. I think it was his family and friends coming to show him the way home. After his passing, the guilt I felt for not spending more time with him was really tremendous. But his wife came to me one day and said she talked to him, or rather, he talked to her, and that I shouldn't feel guilty, as we would see each other again, and we would do those things we had long planned to do. And that's really cool. That's a beautiful story. I mean, if you're facing that transition and I guess, and I don't know that it didn't happen, but I was really, in terms of my dad, when he passed or when he was passing, and he passed quite slowly because he was dealing with hardening of the lungs. So it was a breathing issue for him. And so life just became more and more of a struggle. And I don't know what kind of belief he had. I think he believed that he would go to a better place, but he wasn't really a spiritual person in a sense. So I was always hoping that, maybe someone would appear to him and say, hey, we're going to go home and this is the way and this is how it goes. But I don't think that ever happened for him. And in fact, as I understand it, it sounded like he was kind of scared when the time came. I wasn't there. I just know my mom was there and she told the story. I mean, he was home when it happened, but it would have been neat if somebody would have been there for him to help him make that transition. And I think that those people that have that are incredibly fortunate, because it would be so much nicer to know that they went into the arms of people that love them on the other side. And I believe that they do, but you know what I mean. Man, my phone is going crazy today. What's going on? Oh. It's Verizon telling me I'm almost out of data. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's an update for the show. All right. So, but a cool story. And I think people that have that experience are really quite fortunate to have that, that comforting knowledge that those you love are close and they're going to be there with you when you make that journey. So let's get to the next one, which is, this one sounds really creepy, but this one comes out of Indiana. First off, I'd like to say I really don't know much of anything about the spirit world, and for the most part, I really don't care. I'm not dead yet, so I haven't done too much wrong. I don't mean to offend anyone saying that. My stories are true, and a lot of things have happened to me when I lived in the house in Sunman, Sunman. And I just wanted to try to let you know how to know now on to the story. It was about mid-spring at my house in Sunman, and I can't give you a time because these things took place over the period of a week. So about Friday, again, on the Ouija board, we found ourselves talking to a little boy, or so he said. He told us that he had died in the same old house we were living in, and that his parents dumped him in the well out back. Oh, Jesus. I went outside in the dark to look down the well, and I guess it was closed up because it wasn't too deep. And I took a look around and saw nothing and went back inside, telling everyone that I didn't see anything. Everyone in the room was me, my mom, Jacob, Ryan, my sisters, and a few of her friends. Well, this kind of thing went on for a few days, but things soon went really terrible. I couldn't sleep at night, and I felt like something was keeping me up. And just as I was about to doze off, it felt like something would hit me. And I would go into the bathroom, and when I'd look in the mirror, I wouldn't see myself. I saw a face with a kind of torn up skin and no eyes. In fear that no one would believe me, I kept these things to myself until one morning my mom told us to come downstairs, and she really had to talk to us. When I came down the stairs, my mom had tears in her eyes, and we asked her what was wrong, and she told us that these things are not funny anymore and you guys need to stop. And we were all just sitting there like, what are you talking about? And she said, the noises at night, the face in the mirror, the words in the bathtub, and this. She slapped a piece of paper on the table with some pictures. The pictures were all of us, and the piece of paper said, come find me or die, written in blood on it. I know where the pictures came from. They were always in my sister's lockboxes. And I also knew that she lost the key some time back. We checked it, and it was still closed. And after that, my mom checked all of us for anything that blood could have come from, and nothing. But after all of that, we didn't hear too much from the little boy in the well. So, says BS, I can understand if you have a hard time believing this. I do too. That's really creepy. Those kind of things. You hear my minion? It's like his volume is totally keyed to his excitement level. You must believe nobody can hear him until he's really excited. Oh, man. Cracks me up. All right. Oh, this one's kind of a long one, but not too bad. We'll get through it because I love you guys that much. That's why. I'm just looking to see. looking to see, but I can't see. I don't like this layout at all because it's really hard to see what's going on. Okay. So this one comes out of Michigan, ladies and gentlemen, and this will be our last one for the night, but it's kind of a long one. But it says, I need help with this as much as I want to share our stories. I need help with this as much as I want to share our stories. There are so many to share, so I will try to put it all together as best I can. My husband and I built our house 7 years ago on land that my husband grew up on. It's farmland and no war, no known war, or no tragic past, just boring farmland. Nothing special or tragic about the land. A brand new house, but still full of antiques. And I always assumed my youngest son could see stuff, but knew that he would eventually lose the ability, as did my older son. Well, it is only getting worse as he gets older. He's 7 years old, and he sees numerous ghosts in our house. He sees ghosts in colors. Most of the children are blue, see-through. Some are gray, some are black with no faces. Most scare him terribly, and a very few, are just like us. He sees them everywhere he goes, in the yard, at the grocery store. Today he saw a young boy ghost at the hockey rink.
Electricity.
Okay, electricity. We were just talking about that earlier, but that was a little delayed response about checking the wiring in a house. Huh. I guess that's kind of relevant. He was 7 years old, and he sees numerous ghosts at our house. He sees ghosts in colors. I already read that, didn't I? Most of them scare him horribly. A very few are just like us. He sees them everywhere he goes. In the yard, at the grocery store. Today he saw a young boy ghost at the hockey rink. And I need help with the color aspect of this. Has anyone saw this or heard of this? And I would have to defer to Deb or Sean or somebody about the colors of spirits. I don't know. I'm not familiar with them having a color grade to them. And does that mean anything? That is interesting, though. I'll be anxious to find out. There is one particular ghost in our house that remains in the upstairs bedroom that scares him so much he cries. This is a tall, bald, older man and is not nice. This one almost mocks him or messes with him at bedtime. We just had to move his bedroom because he refused to sleep in his old room. Many nights he would cry because the ghost would get in his face while he would try to get to sleep. He would try to hide under the covers, but some of them would get under there with him. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, poor kid. He sleeps many nights in our bed, but the other night, while lying in our bed, he said, "Dad, do you see that man at your door?" My husband said, "No." So my son looked at me and said, "There's a guy at your door." The look on his face was a sheer terror. He says they come in my room also, but that he feels more safe in there with me and his dad. There were times when I thought he was going on too much about this to get our attention, until one day he came home from a friend's house and said his friend didn't believe in ghosts. I thought, oh no, he's telling everyone. So I told him a lot of people don't believe, and that's okay. We all have our own opinions, and some people are too scared to admit it also. He looked at me and said, "Mom, it was just a cat." So apparently he sees animals too. He sees a little girl that will play hide and seek type of game with him around his bedroom door in his old room, and he said that there were 3 guys that would come through his wall, and he said they look like vampires. They aren't vampires, but they're trying to scare me like vampires. And he said that a lot of times they don't want him to see them. He thinks the little girls are laughing at him, and when he can't see anyone, he can hear them. He has told me that he will not sleep in his old room anymore. There are too many people in there. One day, he went to his old bedroom to play his guitar, and he came running down the stairs crying, saying that someone spit on him in his room. He said he couldn't see this one, but that his arm was wet and he was scared to death. He said sometimes he can't see them. but he can feel them. And that was the last time he went into that room, besides when we moved his stuff out. His new room has a different air about it. It feels better, different. And we thought for the first time he would get some sleep. Wrong. He agreed that he loves his new room. He thought it felt better. He loved it. And I was refilling his bookshelf with his books, and he was sitting on the floor next to me, staring out the doorway into the hallway. And he said, "There's a ghost in the hall looking at us." And I said, "Girl or boy?" And he replied, "Boy." I said, "Young or old?" And he said, "Young, teenager." What is that thing that Harley wears around his neck?" Harley is my sister's dog. And I said, "A bandana?" And he said, "Yeah, this kid has one around his neck. It's red. He looks like a cowboy." He continued to talk about it, and eventually, cowboy went away. So that night, it was bedtime. The new bedroom looked great and felt really wonderful and cozy. And we all did our good nights, hugs and kisses, and he was left to his room, snuggled in with all the stuffed animals. And I was in bed for about 10 minutes when my son came in, tears streaming down his cheeks, crying. He said, "I'm not sleeping in that room." I sat up and said, "Why?" He said, "My bed is shaking. It is shaking. It's getting faster and faster." Of course, I jumped out of bed and ran in there and tried to figure out what was going on. And I gave him the explanation of maybe he didn't get the legs on his bed tight enough, so it was shaking when he moved, and he accepted that and went to sleep. I was very eager to hear his stories at breakfast time in the next morning, and he said he slept great. He only had 2 ghosts in his room. One was the old bald guy that mocks him and messes with him, and my son has a Spider-Man web that hangs from the ceiling, and this particular guy gets in the net and puts his face through the holes and stares at my son. The other ghost was behind his bookshelf. Now, in this room, it used to be a spare room that actually has a hole in the drywall behind the bookshelf. The ghost behind the bookshelf was new to him. We have a history of ghost stories for many years, from our old house to our new house. No real experiences with us seeing them, but things have disappeared, and I myself have felt them. Lights going on and off and creaks in the floor when no one was there. And my eldest son actually had an imaginary friends at our old house, and could tell me about the owner of the previous house that had died in a motorcycle accident. My son was 3 at the time, and we didn't know the owner. We later learned that from some of the neighbors that my son's stories were accurate, down to the owner's name. My oldest son does not believe now, and we've always learned to live with it, but with my youngest son, it is really tormenting him. These ghosts are ruining his childhood, and I need help on how to help him. My son told me today, "Mom, I think they are trying to tell me stuff, but I don't know what." I agree. It reminds me of that movie, The Sixth Sense, but without the gore, but all the fright. He changed his clothes after the shower today in our downstairs bedroom. He showered upstairs but refused to get clothes on up there because the bald guy was in the bathroom with him. What a dick. He knew the bald guy wouldn't come downstairs, so he got dressed downstairs. And he said while he was brushing his teeth, the bald guy was standing in the bathtub watching him. My son got really scared, and then my nephew, who died in 2000, appeared in the room in the see-through blue color, and then the guy was gone. And I'm curious to know if anyone knows what see-through blue means. I guess it means it's blue color, but it's translucent. My husband is going to contact a local radio station that helps with these kind of things, and I'll keep everyone updated if we find anything out, but information about colors would be great if anyone has any. I have read and know from my own experience that black is not good, but what is gray and blue? In the beginning, he saw gold, but does not anymore. Please help. Thank you. And the only tragedy about this is that this story is from 2007, so it's quite old. I mean, that's, 11 years ago. So I don't know whatever came of this, but I'm just trying to go through any of the comments here. Yeah, people are saying is a very talented medium. Says blue must mean sad, gray. I don't know, just a guess. Yeah, I guess we could all guess, but no, I'm just not familiar with that at all. Oh, now here's something. You did tell their son not to be afraid of him. Tell him to ask those ghosts bravely what they need when they're troubling him, and not rudely, bravely. And if you want these things to stop, then tie a cross around his neck. Well, that's only relevant if they're Christian and they believe in that. Otherwise, I'll send you a kirpan. It's a holy weapon in our religion. We are the six. We can search about 6 kirpan. That's nice. Sounds like people are, we're putting out, some help for them. But yeah, that's got to be terrible torment, a terrible burden. And I know in talking to Sean that's something he is familiar with, growing up, dealing with this kind of, quote unquote gift and the burden that it placed on him. So I don't know. I don't envy anybody being a small child and dealing with such things. But just hope there's people that help them. So anyway, I guess, ladies and gentlemen, that about wraps up our journey for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Julia's in here. Good to see you, Julia. Rather. Let's see. Oh, Sean's in here. Gold indicates spiritual energy of a strong variety. Think of the Buddha. Oh, okay. I missed most of it. The only other time I have seen something like this was when Joel and I passed through a reservation and he saw a mountain moving away from us, and I saw the same one moving towards us. Wow, that's very powerful. Okay. Well, I'll be interested to hear more about these other colors. So I think it's interesting. I don't know if that was his way of interpreting what he was seeing, and so his own mind or his spirit added color so that it would make sense, or if spirits really do appear in different colors. I don't know. That's new to me. I mean, I've heard of like the Blue Lady Ghost, which is real popular, haunting. I've heard of, plenty of people have experienced shadow people, which are, oftentimes just black masses. And of course, black-eyed kids could be spiritual. They may not be at all physical, but they may be able to manifest very solidly at times. But I don't know. It's pretty creepy, but very interesting nonetheless. So I hope you guys enjoyed our journey tonight. I always enjoy being here with you guys and doing the show, but I guess that's all I got for you tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Be kind on your message boards, and don't vent on sensitive posts. If you just came in late and you didn't hear my rant at the beginning of the show, you'll have to watch the beginning. But yeah, it was not my favorite exchange. So anyway, Deb says they appear in different colors, shapes, and sizes. Okay. All right. Well, that's interesting. And I guess we can collect that information and go over it on another of our bedtime stories, which will be, I guess the next one will be Sunday. But we will have a show tomorrow night with Dan Pruitt and Saturday with Linda Godfrey. So, ladies and gentlemen, the portal is just glowing with activity. So I hope you guys are able to tune in and check out all of them. But if not, they will always be available on YouTube, and you can watch them when you have time. So I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow night. And I'll be joined by our great friend and paranormal investigator, Mr. Dan Pruitt, here on the Paranormal Portal for our Friday edition. So good night, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Sweet dreams.